Hey guys, this is Andrew Fogarty. Just making my video to talk about the paper that we wrote for this class on Colossians 3. It's kind of good timing that I had to write this paper at this time because I get married on December 15th, which is very soon. So learning about the wives and their role and the husbands and their role, and even, which I'm not a dad, but children, but as a child, how I can act towards my parents is really basic passage for me to learn. First thing I want to start with is the wives. The big common thing nowadays is, submit, submit. And I think a lot of times the English translation, people take it a little too little in the words of submit. It's not that the wife doesn't, have a say-so in certain things, but it's a way of, it's a voluntary submission is what I've learned. You do it willingly out of faith because the way you submit to your husband is the way you submit to Jesus. And looking at the Ephesians passage, it kind of makes a lot of that come to life. The Ephesians 5 passage that really cross-references over makes it come to life. As well, the husbands, as someone who's going to be a husband here in very soon, love your wives. I really kind of dove into this one and saw where it's talking about back in the times where this was written, loving your wife wasn't a common thing. It wasn't something that came easy to husbands. And so wives submitting to your husbands, that was pretty common. But, husbands being commanded to love their wives, that was a different command that Paul is giving, a little out of the ordinary. So it's interesting to see that Paul did that. But when you look at Ephesians, and it says in 5:25, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word. He did that. You're supposed to love your wives just like Christ loved the church. You're supposed to give yourself up for her. And to not love yourself, or to love your wife as you love yourself. Everybody loves themselves a lot. But to love your wife as much as you love yourself, that's a heavy calling, that's a steep calling. And to actually love your wife and not just use her for an offspring, to give you multiple children, to have heirs to your family, to actually take your wife and actually love her. Paul is actually giving the husbands a very different command than what they're used to, but he's telling them to do this, which is awesome to see. And do not be harsh with them. A lot of times, just in a way that you can be non-loving to your wife is being harsh with them, and is really not very loving to them. So for Paul to write that, he's really trying to get through these husbands that need to look over their wives and love them and take care of them. And then for the children, obey your parents and everything. This is not anything that's really new. Children were commanded in the first 10 commandments, hey, obey your parents. Okay, so this has been something from the beginning all the way until now. Obey your parents. And in one of the genealogies, they would call Adam the son of God. And so from the beginning, we're supposed to obey our father, or obey our parents. And Adam and Eve set the example of not obeying God. And so we need to learn from that and to apply it to our lives and learn how to obey our parents, because ultimately, the way the rest of the verse tells us, it pleases the Lord. Just like Jesus was obedient to the Father and coming down and sacrificing for us and obeying his Father and everything he's supposed to do, we should be obedient in that same sense. And especially for someone who's going to be a husband but also a child, I need to be able to follow all these things on here. Thanks, guys, for listening. That's it.